Good morning, good afternoon, good day, traders and investors. I'm going to talk about my trading system and specifically streaky. Windows are streaky. Specifically, what my experience trading it, what I find easy about following it, what I find hard about following it. This is, some of y'all just relate this in investing strategies or trend following systems. Some of you guys, and this is also for those of you who are trading with us. We have a number of people in there trading it now, and also those of you guys who are considering trading it. So features of the system, it trades the best assets. Okay, it can trade any asset. It performs best on my theory is to just trade the best assets. Okay, what is the best asset? These are assets that have the longest price history and best performance in their asset class. So that would be Bitcoin, that would be gold, and that would be the NASDAQ or the S&P 500. And it could also maybe be like Nvidia, Apple, Tesla. Anyways, it buys dips and it buys breakouts, and it does so with a wide stop loss. It has no take profit, and it only advances the stop under certain conditions. Where's the edge? First question is where's the edge? I think the main edge is in having long-term exposure to good assets. So what ends up happening is it ends up holding Bitcoin, gold, and US stock markets for long periods of time. That's where I believe a lot of the edge is. Because you throw the system on something that goes down 99%. The system, it's not going to make a lot of money. You're also you're gonna lose money by being exposed to poor assets. So asset selection and just holding. Now, things that allow you to hold. So now we know the edge is exposure to the US dollar depreciating versus strong assets. What does it mean is that the main some of the things that contribute to holding are having a really wide stop loss, initially wide stop loss, and having either a really far TP or no TP. So that allows you to just sit in the position. Now, what gives it superior returns, I believe, is the timing component, the stop loss, which protects it from bear markets to a degree. Moving average filter, not taking breakout longs under the 200 moving average, seems to protect it. And what also gives it superior returns is pyramiding. At times it can put on very large positions. Why? Because it can keep adding to position over and over, or over time, without getting stopped out. So it ends up having like massive swinging position. So now you kind of understand the features of the system. There's certain other filters and considerations that I'm not going to explain. It's not necessary. But so for me, the easiest thing is taking the signal. Putting on the trade is always super easy. I don't know how many of you struggle with that. I've never struggled with putting on trades. It's really easy to put on a trade, which is when there's a buy signal, you buy. One area that I've struggled in the past, but don't seem to struggle with this anymore. So part of it is like learning. Once you have a system, the The process of learning to trade that system does not happen overnight necessarily. It can if you're a very beginner trader, which is why I have beginner traders come in and they have an easier time than I do because they don't have other ideas. But just putting on the trade is easy. Now, something that has become easy now is using the recommended stop loss, which is really wide. It's 3.4 daily ATR. It might be a 10% stop for Bitcoin. It's a pretty wide stop. That's the initial stop. Now, in my day trading times, I was used to trading with a 1% stop, a 2% stop, maybe a 2.5, 3% stop at the widest. So the new stop losses that I'm trading with are 5 to 10 times bigger than what I was used to. And that means you can't size nearly as big necessarily. I mean, I guess you can, but you're either sizing much smaller or your risk is much bigger. So that's been a challenge for me. Now, I feel good about it now. I don't have a problem with it now. But when I was first starting, I was like, why do I need to run such a wide stop? I'm just gonna close if it's in drawdown anyways. So I was taking the signals, but with a tighter stop. I'm not doing that anymore, but that's one of the first areas that I was struggling with. Now, there's two other areas that I find difficult. This one I've always found difficult, and it's holding during drawdown. I have a hard time holding drawdown. That's being underwater, and that's also potentially price rejecting and retracing in profit. For whatever reason, I kind of have a hard time. Now, check this out. This system, because it runs the wide stop, it says, hey, I'm okay with price moving against me for up to 3 days and nearly stopping me out. So you need to allow potentially price to move against you for days initially. I kind of hate it, but it's what backtests the best again across all these assets: Bitcoin, gold, NASDAQ. Yeah, I mean, my methodology is I want it to be generalized to work well across everything, going back as far as possible. I had a question in my Discord where someone's like, don't you want something that worked best recently because every bull market's different? No, you want something that worked best across history and across assets, because history is likely to repeat itself. And you want it to, if something is super optimized, it only worked in the Bitcoin bull run of 2017, it's like not likely to repeat again. Things are different. So you want things that generally work. But yeah, holding through retracement is super hard. Can be. I mean, I'll say one of the hardest parts of trading as an investor, and trading in general, is not checking all the time. And that's because you end up getting a lot of dopamine from checking, and euphoria potentially, and hope if you're way up. And then, but it's variable. Variable rewards very addictive, where sometimes the mouse gets cocaine, sometimes it doesn't. It presses a button. So checking what's happened is a variable reward. Not doing that is hard. That doesn't necessarily that's not a direct error, but it can lead to errors, right? So I find that to be hard always, and the best solution for that is just to stay busy. But yeah, being in drawdown is hard. Seeing it nearly stop out, and it's not a leverage thing, because whether you trade our system, this system with leverage or spot, you still need a stop loss. It's gonna come near stop. It's gonna come near stop. You have to have a way to get out. The stop loss is necessary. Trading with no stop is not good, because you don't know when an asset's gonna die. Take something like ETH, for instance. I don't know what's gonna happen, if there's gonna be an ETH season or not. But if you we're buying the breakout at 4,000 plus. Like, what are you gonna do when it drops to 3 or it drops to 2? You know, you need a way to get out, and especially for strong assets of, okay, this maybe this asset isn't working anymore. But yeah, holding through drawdown. That's hard for me. When I'm underwater for days, I wanna make the pain go away by closing. I wanna make the loss go away by. It's interesting to me. A realized loss is less painful than an open loss. An open loss is painful, but once I close it, the pain goes away. It's so weird, but it's not right, because an open loss can turn into a win. You do need to cut the losers, but you have to give them room to run. And the system, it doesn't trail the stop. It advances it at key times, and it might not advance it for a long time. I had someone come into our private group last night and today. He's like, hey, for Tesla, I'm not seeing a advanced stop loss since like last year. It's been months. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't. You sit in the asset for a long ass time. That's what you do. So when you get a new signal, you advance the stop, which is going to come to another issue that I have. Okay, so the signal is easy to trade. The stop loss varies. For me now, that's easy to follow that stop loss. Holding through retracement is the one that's hard. Now the second one, holding in profit is not hard for me. I don't know about you guys. If price is moving in my favor, I do not want to TP. So that part is easy. Some of y'all might struggle with that. For me, that part is easy. If price is moving in my favor, I'm gonna hold on. I'm not gonna TP. That said, this system gets stopped out on a retracement eventually, right? Since it never TPs, or I found having like a 25 RR TP is good, but I mean, imagine a 3.4 ATR stop loss. It has to go 75 days in your favor to be a TP, which doesn't happen very often. So, oh, that's interesting. I gotta go back and change some testing criteria. Interesting. Anyways, another issue that I have, so I only have two issues really. Well, I guess three. One is not, the issue isn't trading the system, but just the dopamine reward of checking charts is pretty absurd. It's hard to hold through retracement. And the final one is the system always gives back a lot at the end, because it's not trying to get out at the top. So what that means is in theory, here's the psychological issue. In theory, if you were to TP, you could prevent that. So if you could so that leads me to wanting to potentially pick a spot to get out, not as price is moving in my favor, but to TP early. Because if you TP early and then you get out and market reverses, you will make more than the system. So that's an area where I want to improve the system of maybe conditional closes. How can we get out? How can we find a way to get out? Especially when the system holds through predictable retracements. So if you hit, say we're long, and we hit a key level like an all-time high and reject, to me, I'm expecting a pullback, possible reversal, maybe a short opportunity. The system wants you to hold through this retracement that's coming. And I want to TP early. So these are some of the areas that I find trading it difficult, and it's also one of the reasons why I'd like to get it totally automated. Yeah, so hope you find it helpful. Those of you guys who are interested, there's a link to it down below. Honestly, I think it's better for beginners. So Richard Dennis, the Turtles, when he trained them, they were pretty much all beginners. These are the guys who were all he gave them a system, they followed the system, they all averaged like 100% returns a year. There's certain criticisms of this, essentially a study that happened, but I think they had an advantage by being noobs because they didn't have these certain ideas or habits that they needed to break. So if you're a noob, man, stop. Don't trade prop firms before they give you bad habits. Anyways, appreciate y'all. Talk to you soon and see some of y'all in there. Peace.